All right, hockey fans, Panther fans, Ranger fans, and apparently Bruins fans. So I was attempting to find somebody knowledgeable about hockey to discuss this series with, but the best I could do was Paul. So how you doing, buddy?
Damn.
No, Paul has a tough act to follow. I just finished interviewing Billy Lindsay for a half hour. So all you have to do, Paul, is do better than a former NHL playoff hero turned broadcaster. That's all you have to do.
See, but this is where you get the pity points, though. Like, he's not that good. We feel bad for him, So we'll give him a break. We had professionals on here before. This guy's just a bum.
Yeah, this is my charity hour. How you doing?
Check. So I'll say this, and I'm a Bruins fan saying this. This is going to be a lot more fun of a series, Florida versus New York. I'm really excited to watch this. There's going to be a lot of good hockey to watch, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be more fun for you because you don't have any real skin in the game, right? You know what I mean? It's like Kyle and I are watching the other series, and, on the non-Panther nights, we're just kind of sitting back in the chairs like, this is fun, ain't it, man? You know what I mean? Because it's just like, when your team is playing, it's the heart rate is up, like the dog is wondering what's going on. We're just yelling and screaming. I got an 11-year-old St. Bernard with heart issues, right? We're screaming at the TV. The dog's just, he don't even lift his head. He just looks at me like, what the hell's wrong with you, bro? I'm trying to sleep.
So how are you feeling about this series, Florida versus the New York Rangers? Like, going into it, how are you feeling?
So real talk, I would have liked to have played anybody else. Anybody else. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is we just had our asses literally handed to us by Jonathan Marchessault, former Panther, and now we got to go with Trocheck.
Yeah.
And, I'm very happy with the return that we got for Trocheck. If you actually go back and look at the deal, it was absurd.
Yeah.
Now, we only have Luosterainen left from that return, but Wenberg was in that deal. I think Haller was in that deal. I mean, we got a ton for Trocheck, and he's been worth it for everybody that he ended up with. There we have Bob, right? And Rangers have Igor. And the Rangers are probably rightfully so a little bit more confident about which Igor they're going to get. Because Igor is kind of like, I did a video on this a couple days ago, and Igor is basically like steady and a little up and down, and steady and a little up and down. And Bob is like either like, holy hell, he transmogrified himself to be in two places at once, doesn't know level, or Bob, his angles. Yeah. His angles, when he's not on, I could shoot and score on him. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm not nervous about Bob's play, but I'm a little bit nervous about how Bob is going to react to the extra attention. The Rangers got a different offense. You know what I mean?
I think Bob will benefit in this next series, and just hear me out in this regard. The last series against the Bruins, really outside of a couple games, wasn't overly tested. Like, he had a lot of lower shot games until I think 6 or 7 when they started to actually decide to shoot the puck. I think Bob, when you watch the games, like statistically, some of them would not be great, but I still think even in some sub 900 save percentage games, he still looked good. I think it's just due to facing such a low amount of shots at times, the stats won't look brilliant. They just won't. Now, mind you, he did have some weird, peculiar goals he let in. I'm not trying to say he was perfect, but I feel, at least in my opinion, looking at it, Bob showed me last year that he can take a team to the Stanley Cup Finals. And he can get hot, and he can just turn and flip a switch. Shesterkin, and a lot of it is due to how the roster is built around him. He's been steady thus far, but he hasn't been perfect as well. I do kind of agree with you. I think you more know what you're going to get from Shesterkin. And I think we're going to have ourselves a great goaltending battle. I think we're going to see the both versions of these goaltenders. And I think Bob, I mean, you guys are close yet again to another Stanley Cup final appearance.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to, kind of kick him into another gear. I'm not saying you guys took the Bruins lightly, but I think you guys are really going to get ready and get up for this game against a very talented New York Rangers team. But I think Bob will probably have his best series yet upcoming.
I think because of the talent makeup of both teams, and they're so similar, and the way that the goalies play, I think you could see some really odd things, like both goalies having .930 save percentages and the games be 5-4, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no knowing, because both teams have everything you need. Great offense, great defense. The Rangers got a little bit better on the special teams. Panthers defense, and in terms of allowing goals is one of the best, if not the best in the league. So at any given moment, in any given game, the Panthers could have a great offensive period. The Rangers could dominate for 20 minutes. There's no telling inside of each game what's going to happen. And a lot of it is going to be like last man with the ball.
Yeah.
You could have a terrible first, a decent second. There's 5 minutes left in the game, and it's 3-3. And none of the other stuff matters anymore. Now it's who's going to be clutch.
Yeah.
And both teams have just like a bucket full of clutch guys. I mean, you could go this guy, that guy, this guy, that. You could just list out like 7, 8, 9 players on each team where it's like, okay, cross that out. And it's just like, so somebody on the fourth line is going to get some greasy goal that goes off of his skate, off of his stick, off of somebody's head, and past the goaltender, and that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, looking at the forward cores, it's very similar in a sense that watching the style of play. Actually, let me kind of go into that. The Panthers play kind of aggressive, but like they play aggressive on the forecheck. That's the one thing that stuck out to me the most against the Bruins. You guys don't give teams much time to like operate, think, and try to create. You guys are very, very good at that.
I call that the massive pain in the ass defensive system.
You guys are exceptional in that. The New York Rangers are somewhat similar, especially on their penalty kill. Like their penalty kill is very like it's cautiously aggressive. Like they're not going to just let you sit on the outside. So I think this is going to be kind of a match, or I should say a series of trading blows, where sometimes your aggression will work out for either team, but then sometimes they'll get caught because like, oh crap, I was a little bit overly aggressive, thus kind of out of my window of responsibility. It is kind of, they have different systems, but they play in somewhat of a similar fashion.
Right.
And I think that for me, kind of looking at this series, it's going to kind of come down to the finer details, because these teams are very, very even.
Yeah.
Very even.
Yep.
I don't think, I mean, the best defenseman on the Rangers, you could say arguably, Adam Fox. Who would you like? Would you say Forsling for the Panthers?
Yeah, Forsling. Yeah,
both talented on the back end, and then it's not just one defenseman. You got Keandre Miller. You got Ekblad. You got Montour. You got. Well, Trouba's been kind of relegated to more of a third pairing guy at this point, but you have so much talent on both of these rosters. Yeah, it's gonna be a war of attrition.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And, like you brought up with the Boston series, this series is not likely to take the kind of absurd arc that the Boston series did. Panthers had that long break, came out game one, we looked like ass. Okay. And then all of the rough stuff started coming.
Yeah.
And for 2 games, the Boston Bruins just decided we're not going to play hockey, we're going to play football. And you would just watch over and over again as a Panther player would have the puck and a Bruin guy would just come in and obliterate the player and forget that there was a puck. And another Panther guy would just come in and be like, okay, we'll take the puck and put it in the back of your net. Yeah. And for 2 games, they did that. And it was, to me, I talked about this in my recap, I feel like had the players been like sequestered in a bubble, they would have been okay. But between Montgomery talking about retribution and the media and all anybody want to talk about is Bennett this, Bennett that, Bennett with the punch and all of that, I think it took the Bruins out of the game. You saw the game they wanted to play in games 5 and game 6.
Yeah.
And they played right with the Panthers. They beat them. And then, I mean, the 120 minutes of regulation in games 5 and game 6 led to a 3-3 tie.
Yes.
So those 2 games, the Bruins just like they dropped the ball. So I don't see the Rangers doing that. You could see 7 games of, we could be in overtime at game 7 and the regulation score of all 7 games is 21-21.
Yeah. The Rangers are a far more talented team than the Bruins, so the Bruins, I felt, were trying to compensate for that.
Right.
And I thought it bit them in the butt. And Montgomery's got to worry more about the too many men on the ice penalties than retribution.
Yeah.
That's a whole rant I could go on. But
7.
yeah, it's an excuse. It's a lot of people in Boston they want a coaching change. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But, getting back to this series, it's going to be interesting to see, like, Tkachuk, right? I'm expecting him to do more in this next series. Like, not saying he was completely invisible, but he wasn't, like, as impactful as he was last year.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I don't want to interrupt, but I want to interrupt because you're touching on something that I've seen some Ranger fans talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about, well, we can play Barkov hard and zone out Reinhardt, et cetera, et cetera. And you're bringing up Tkachuk specifically. The Panthers don't have players. We have roles.
Yeah.
And if you blanket one guy, I guess the point I'm trying to make is you're not going to be able to key on this player, that player, this player, that player, and see the results.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just have, and kind of the same with the Rangers, we just have so much talent across the board that you got to play your system. You just have to play the system. You see what I mean? I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you're trying to make a point about Tkachuk, but it was a point that I had in the back of my head that I'd seen some Ranger fans talking about that you kind of reminded me of that. The Panthers, we have players, but if it's not Barkov in that spot, it's going to be Lundell. If it's not Lundell, it's going to be Luostarinen. They play the role. They play the system.
Yeah.
And so unless all 4 lines are going to key on one guy at a time, it's going to be a lot of even hockey. But go ahead and make your point about Tkachuk.
No, but with Tkachuk, because I was actually going to bring that up. Let's say, like, last series, right? I'm not saying he was ineffective. I thought he played really well. Maybe didn't show up on the stat sheet, but he was making some good deep low cycles. He was contributing in other ways to the Florida's game. But because the Panthers are so talented, they can afford to have a guy like Tkachuk have an off series. I mean, not even really an off series. I don't think that's a fair summarization of how he played. But I expect Tkachuk to be more impactful because I thought you had guys like Barkov step up. I thought Barkov, and I don't know, you watch him every night. I was very impressed with what I saw in Barkov in that series. I thought he played pretty well, especially in the late game 6. Like that move he made to score, like it was kind of insane. I mean, or was that game 5?
Barkov has just continued to elevate his play year over year over year. And, in the first couple of years, 2-3 years of this channel, I used to complain about it. I said, he needs to do better. He can be better. He could be better. And people would look at me like I had 5 heads, He's a lot better. He's a lot, not that people think that when you say a guy can be better, that you're saying he's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He looks like he's playing. It looks like this go around in the postseason from what I've seen in the first couple rounds. He just looks very confident, and I think, to me, he should win the Selke. But to me, he's one of these players that if you get his confidence going, he's got the high end skill. He's got phenomenal hands. He's a great skater.
Right.
Looking at Florida, they have just a plethora of weapons up front. That, let's say they start keying more on Barkov. That would open up more space for Tkachuk or Luostarinen or Reinhardt or right. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the difficulties of playing at such a deep team.
Yeah, and look, the same is true in reverse with the Rangers.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a mirror image. The number of guys that they have, you just like, you stop this one, you stop this one, you stop this one, and Fox will get a goal. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? The same thing with the Panthers. You can stop the Panthers from getting in front of the net and get in front of the net, and then Montour will just blast one from the line and beat you. So both teams they just have so much talent spread out all over the place. we can talk about strategy and all of that. The one thing that will be important is special teams.
Yes.
That's the one little bit of area. The Panthers' penalty kill has been consistently good to very good. Nothing obscene or anything like that. Our power play is either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. There's no in between.
Yeah.
There's no in between. Maurice has come out during the season and basically, in his own way, said, "Look, we don't really care about the power play. You can win without a good power play. It is what it is."
Yeah.
So I know the Rangers are wanting to get, calls and everything. And that's the one thing I hope that this series does not turn into, which is the complaining about this call, that call, this call, that call.
Oh, we already know it's gonna go there. Like I mean, I saw it with a lot of Bruins fans on me, and I, you saw the video I made. It's like,
yeah,
you can't say this team, you can't say you're better than the Panthers when they outplayed you and like try to ask and beg for calls. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I don't really necessarily care for with playoff hockey is a lot of complaining about calls, where I think they should just let them play.
Yeah.
Where I think it's going to get interesting for the Florida Panthers, because at times, like, they have all the tools to be very lethal on the power play, especially for Hagee in front. Like, there's so many weapons you have on that roster. It's actually it's crazy. You guys are going to be facing a far better penalty kill, at least in my opinion, because the Rangers, like I said, they're aggressive, but they're cautiously aggressive. And they're not going to give you the time that the Bruins did to let you set up, and have guys like in these perfect bumper positions or perfectly across. So it's going to be interesting to see how you guys kind of deal with that. Like, the Rangers are exceptionally good on the penalty kill. I actually did I did a breakdown on one of their videos. I've actually kind of recorded all of it. It's as a coach watching it, it's chef's kiss. It's really it's really, really good how they do it. Now, Carolina didn't do themselves no favor in that last series playing it with the outside. I would say the Bruins kind of had similar issues. I think the special teams are going to be very, very important, and it could it could essentially swing this series in a game or two. And with how even these teams are, the special teams could be the difference maker. It really could.
The key for our power play is don't allow shorties.
Yes,
that's really all we have to do. We get a goal here, we get a goal there, because the way that we set up, it works when it works, but when it doesn't, it can be frustrating, because generally speaking, the way we'll have it laid out, Kachuk behind the net, Barkov in the right circle, Verhaeghe in the left circle, Reinhart in the bumper, and Montour at the line. And Kachuk and Barkov will play catch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to get to Reinhart in the bumper position.
Yeah.
And what's happened a little bit is, okay, other teams are covering Reinhart so much, you can't get to the bumper. Okay, so you're going to bump it back out to Montour. But the puck movement and the design has not been such so that Verhaeghe, so that we can use Verhaeghe to take advantage of the fact that they're blanketing Reinhart.
Yeah.
We have not been able to move the puck quick enough along the outside. Every once in a while, Kachuk will try to get one over to Verhaeghe, but the defense is able to slide over a little bit. The key for our power play, like I said, don't give up the shorties. You got either Montour or Forsling at the line, and as far as I'm concerned, those guys can just blast away. If you got Reinhart just creating a mess because now you've got 3-4 people in front of the net, right? Just shoot, and maybe you get a ricochet and it goes in. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that than Kachuk or Barkov trying to force it across to the other side to Verhaeghe, and then Rangers get a stick on the puck, it's out the zone, and then it's a 2-on-1 the other way. That's what we can't do.
And on the penalty kill, you guys are really solid, but you're also going to be dealing with a very, very lethal Rangers power play. Like Zibanejad, really good. You get hit in his wheelhouse, he's got a hell of a shot. Chris Kreider, if I'm going to be honest, like him sitting in front, redirecting pucks like it's an art. It's going to give you a lot of difficulties, because that's one of the things that where the Carolina Hurricanes struggled mightily against was how lethal the Rangers were on their power play.
Yeah,
sorry. Were on their power play at such a short. How would I put this? in such a short time. Like they scored back-to-back power play goals in a span of like 24, 25 seconds at one time. They're extremely lethal, and they have different ways to kill you. They can kill you with the low shots, rebounds, redirects, but they also can have set up plays in the bumper or off on the, off of the face-off dot. So betting Zibanejad up for a one-timer high slot as well.
Yeah.
It's
you play the numbers game.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this from the Panthers POV, if the power play is 1-0 Rangers every game, and 5-on-5 is 2-1 Panthers.
Yeah.
Now we got a 2-2 game, and it's that one dirty, greasy, dumbass goal.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Gustav Forsing's our best defenseman, but let's be honest. When he's making that shot that went in against Swayman, that's not a serious shot.
No.
Okay? He's just throwing it at the net because that's what you got to do, right? And when you look at the replay from where Forsling was and how he shot that puck, nobody in their right mind is thinking that's going in.
No.
I mean, it's just not, but it does. And those are going to be the goals. That's going to make the difference. And I guess we could just ask the hockey gods how they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't know. I'll put it this way: in terms of the hockey gods and the luck and all of that, this series ain't over till 4, right?
Yeah.
I have full confidence in either team. Should they get down 3-1, that they have the ability to come back in the series. This is not over until that final whistle where somebody's got 4. 3-1 is a nice cushy lead, but either of these teams could come back from 3-1. They have the firepower to do it.
Absolutely. I think, and I think both last round for both teams was a learning. Like it was a good little experience to have where you had a little bit of hope with the Bruins. Not really, but it is what it is. And then you had with the Hurricanes, like they came back. Like the Hurricanes made that a series. Yeah. So I think both teams, when they get up, they learn from the last round. Like, no, we need to finish this off. Like we need to make this no doubt.
Yeah. And I'm curious. Do we both agree that? I mean, I kind of feel like the winner of this series wins the cup. Of course, I want that to be my Panthers, but I'm looking over in the West, and Dallas has got a good team, and Ottinger is, but certainly if either of these teams go up against Edmonton and Skinner.
That's so odd stuff can happen. I'm going to ruin my own prediction video I'm making, but I have Dallas winning that series. Yeah. I think if Dallas goes, it should be a very, very, very good series. Even though I still would lean towards either Florida or New York beating them. If Edmonton goes, which I'd be surprised, I don't really believe in Stuart Skinner. I don't think he's the guy. I think he would get exposed. But I actually think the Edmonton Oilers are going to get exposed quite a bit in this next series.
I made the Edmonton Oilers a trade. I made him a trade offer like I did with Calgary and Kachuk.
What was the trade off?
So it's Spencer Knight and Ekblad for Ekholm.
See,
they get a goalie, we get out of salary cap hell, and we only have to deal with Ekholm for 1 more year, I think, and then we're free and clear.
But the problem is with the Oilers is they don't have much defensive depth in their system and their pipeline.
Well, but Ekholm's 33. I mean, he's not really their future.
Yeah, but if he could still play at a really good level for another handful of years, and if you're trying to win a cup, it really does kind of come down to it. Like because McDavid, his contract, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how things go. Because if the Oilers are trying to fully buy in, you don't deal a guy like Ekholm because you're trying to win now. But I mean, on paper, bringing in a guy like Spencer Knight, who I think could salvage his career, would make sense. I mean, I think this is the better deal. I think AHL goaltender Brandon Bussey for McDavid, straight up. It's clean. He would look good. McDavid looked great in a smoke bee.
See, now you made me look good, man. You made my trade look good.
Yeah, people are
I
gonna
gotta
think
have you on more often.
People are gonna think I'm serious.
I can say the craziest shit because you taught me. It's beautiful.
I did see that in like a Facebook group, and I started cracking up, and he was actually serious. I'm like, no way. Like, come
I'm
on,
just
man.
trying to help Ekblad fulfill his dream of living in Edmonton, man. Every time they get the camera on him, he's like, "I hate Florida. I want to be an Oiler." I hear it every time.
Every time.
No, man, Ekblad's good. Ekblad's gonna be okay. He's just got to take less money to stay. But that's a different story.
Yeah, but you're in the state with no income tax where players can take a little bit less and actually make more.
Yeah. They're not going to get rid of Ekblad no matter what because they'd have to change the glass at the arena.
That's that.
And that I don't even want to know how much that's going to be. You know.
So, what's your prediction? What are you thinking?
Honestly, I hate to make this prediction. I see no way that this series doesn't go to triple overtime in Game 7. Or Panthers in 4. One of those, whichever one sounds more realistic. No. Somebody on one of the streams said Panthers in 4, and I said if the Panthers sweep, I will shave my body with a dry razor and cover myself in rubbing alcohol on the stream.
Damn.
If the Panthers
They
sweep.
better not sweep because I'm holding you to that.
That's how confident I am that they're not going to sweep, and just how happy I would be if they did. Because the lack of stress that a sweep would be, it's not going to happen. Don't any Ranger fans. I'm not saying we're going to sweep them, and I'm joking. Ha 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 ha. Okay, but no 7. I mean, could either team win in 6? Sure.
Yeah.
Could we be in a Game 6 overtime? Sure. Could every game go to overtime? Sure. Are the Panthers going to win one game 5-0 and the Rangers might win the next game 5-0? Could happen. Anything could happen because you don't know. It's a freaking brick wall meeting a brick wall.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell from looking at the brick walls where's the cracks. Who didn't quite put their cement together, that little thin crack 2 feet behind the wall that you don't see. It's that even. It really is.
Yeah.
Yes, Ranger fans can say if Bob is not on his game. I agree. I agree with that. However, if Bob is on his game, it's that much bigger of a problem for the Rangers. So if everybody plays just their average, if everybody's just like Bob is good, Shesterkin is good, everybody's normal, and nobody does anything like McAvoy having a horrible game or Ekblad having a horrible game. If nobody does anything like that, I know McAvoy's Bruins. I'm making the point.
Yeah.
If everybody just stays even, I don't see how we don't end up in 7 games. And then inside of that game, it's just, does the puck go off a Lomberg skate and go in, or does it hit the post when it goes off a Lomberg skate? And that's it.
Yeah. I think I'm very torn on this because I think it is very evenly matched. I think I'm going to ride though. I think I'm going to go 7 games. I'm going to pick Florida. I like how Florida plays. I like their system. I like the personnel. I think the New York Rangers could easily win in 7 though as well. It's just I give the edge to Florida because of their style of play. I think will wear down a Rangers team. And in comparison to a team that they just played with Carolina, the one thing I do have to question is the ability for the Rangers to close out. Now, they did finish in 7, but they made a 3-0 series go to 7.
Yeah.
Where they should have been able to close that out and make it way less dramatic. I think the Florida Panthers, I'm going to give them the edge. I just think their style of play, the talent on the roster, I think goaltending can be, maybe you give Shesterkin an edge there, and that's fine, but I think up front on the back end, the Panthers are just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's going to be a good series.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to pay all my bills for July, too. It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, and, if they want to help me pay my McDonald's fees, check out the channel.
Yeah, I can't afford McDonald's, man. What are you talking about? I got a $600 electric bill in the winter. Don't ask me what it is in August.
Oh, Jesus, especially, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got to keep the house like 62 degrees or the dog will die.
Yeah.
So it just is. But now it's a little bit easier because we're only downstairs with them. So I don't have to keep of course that pisses off. everybody got used to me keeping the whole house freezing cold, but now that the dog is downstairs, it's like, well, y'all it can be 75 up here. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You can deal with it. You can
you can deal with it. You know,
get an ice
So,
pack. Suck it up.
Yeah. Take some clothes off. That is what it is. You know, you can always take more clothes off. You can't add more clothes. So we're going off the rails here. This is just what you're going to get. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. My brain is fried, right? I mean, Kyle and I have streamed like 17 in the last 20 nights, man. It's just like when I'm not talking hockey, my brain is just like it's just gone.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I do the videos, and I occasionally stream, but hats off to you, man. I couldn't do it every single night. Like, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
That would be
it's that or working at Dunkin' Donuts. I like hockey. We have a good time.
But Dunkin' Donuts like rewards cards, though.
Dunkin' Donuts starts at $18 an hour here, bro.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the Dunkin' Donuts 10 minutes from the house starts at $18 an hour.
That's not atrocious, actually.
I know. When Kyle and I decided to start streaming, I said, look, either I got to go work at Dunkin' Donuts or we got to stream every game. One or the other. You know what I wasn't kidding, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did because I get to be home with the dog, and that was my whole purpose in life, anyways, to be home with the dog when they're getting ready to do their thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. So Panthers in 7, and yeah, Ranger fans, feel free to leave your comments. That's okay. You know, just be cool. Like I said yesterday, if you're new here and you're a new Ranger fan, watch the video I put out yesterday. It's how to watch this channel for Ranger fans. It's sarcasm, guys. It's fun. Okay? If you find yourself upon one of my videos genuinely getting angry or upset because you're taking me really seriously, you need a vacation. Okay? I've got a Kermit the Frog behind me. Puppets, all right? I've got a Jewish Mexican pink flamingo puppet. Don't take me that seriously, okay? It's fun. It's hockey. I don't have any excuses for Paul, though. He's a Bruins fan. That's the best I got.
Well, fuck you. Dick.
And on that note, I guess we'll end the video. You know, I say the same thing to you. I say to my girlfriend. I say, I only say that shit to get the reaction out of you. All right, everybody. I'm not editing that out, by the way. That's beautiful. Look, the FU to me, there's plenty of people that will resonate with the FU to me. So you'll have your own little fan club. All right, everybody. We're going to shut up now. I'm Jaws. That's Paul. This is Billy. And, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night, half hour before the game.